And by Mobil 1 Synthetic Motor Oil. There's no better engine protection under the sun.
And Maurice Cheeks and Andrew Toney. Don Nelson is trying to get to the Eastern Conference Finals again. He did last year. Paul Pressey and Terry Cummings are the forwards. Alton Lister starts at center, and Sidney Moncrief, one of the great stars in the league, and Craig Hodges in the backcourt. The officials working this game are Jake O'Donnell and Wally Rooney, and Tommy Nunez is the alternate. Philadelphia is in red and Milwaukee in white, and there is Maurice Cheeks, and you will see the tape on his right shoulder, and he said before the game, Tommy, that it could affect his jump shooting. More important, if he gets hit, as he did against Washington, he could be in real pain.
Well, as we saw down in Washington, Dick, when he gets hit, he really gets into pain. And I'll tell you, he's a pretty gutsy performer to get out here and play with that type of shoulder. If they say it's a bruise, I think they're trying to kid the public. It looks more like some kind of a separation to me. You don't tape a shoulder up like that, Liz. Of course, I'm not a doctor, Dick.
Well, you asked Billy Cunningham yesterday, is it a shoulder separation? He says, well, if it is, I'm not going to tell you. So, anyway, Cheeks goes right to the hoop to start the game, and Bobby Jones stuffs it through. And it's quickly 2-0, and there's some pressure a little bit in the backcourt by Philadelphia.
Cheeks took it strong that time. Didn't look like the shoulder was bothering him too much.
The big matchup problem will be Terry Cummings for Philadelphia.
Right, but here they go quickly to Alton Lister. They normally start out at first play of the ball game, the Bucks getting it inside to Lister, trying to establish him early.
Hodges will be on Cheeks, and Hodges did very well in that matchup during the regular year. Cummings gambling right now. This is a real good defensive battle, these teams. Irving misses from the corner, and here is Craig Hodges.
One of the challenges for Pressey guarding Dr. J is when Dr. J takes him into the low post.
Pierce starting the ball game. Ricky Pierce starts the game for the Milwaukee Bucks instead of Sidney Moncrief, and we'll have to check on that. Moncrief came out early. He went to the dressing room and is now reported to the bench, and he's going to check into the ball game. So there's a surprise right off as we have a foul called against Milwaukee, and Sidney Moncrief had to make some adjustment, I guess, before the game started, and Ricky Pierce started. So here is Sidney Moncrief. I don't think the Bucks want to go long without him.
No, he's got to be in that lineup, Sidney. He represents great rebounding for his size, defense, and also an awful lot of scoring.
Alton Lister with the personal foul. Keep in mind, as Tommy says, they have 18 fouls with those three-headed centers they've got.
And a lot of stamina. That's more important, where they can push on him a little bit and then run him up and down the court.
Tony. They swing the ball, and now Moses Malone has it going in the hoop against Alton Lister. Wide open Bobby Jones. Lister the rebound, and here come the Bucks with Sidney Moncrief. Hodges, he's tough. And Julius Erving with a terrific defensive play inside. Hodges had the shot, decided to pass. Cheeks inside.
Well, the Sixers really have to fast break in order to really try and destroy that defensive concept of Don Nelson, the double teaming of the Sixers stars. The more you get out on a fast break, the less that defense is going to come into play for the Bucks.
Lister, foul. He had Cheeks and Malone, so they were double teaming Alton Lister off the top of this ball game. And the foul is against Maurice Cheeks, his first.
Well, there's no question that Nelson, when he goes to his center position, he has to try and equalize Moses Malone both offensively, defensively, and on the boards. So if they can work Moses on defense a little bit in the early stages of the game, perhaps it'll sap that stamina on the boards.
Now, Malone won't foul out, as you said. He rarely fouls out of a ball game, but the continual pounding, they hope, will take its toll late in the ball game.
Moses is renowned for being a fourth-quarter player with that stamina, and that's Nelson's best estimate. When I use these three guys, maybe he won't be so tough in the fourth quarter.
Pressing on Julius. Bobby Jones, double team. Well, good defense by the Milwaukee Bucks. They led the NBA in defense. Here's Moncrief, has it batted away, I believe, by Julius Erving, and here comes Pressey again. Shooting has been off, and on the fast break, Cheeks is ahead of the field. Toney takes it strong. And Andrew Toney, they're going to need a lot of firepower from him in this game.
Well, both those players, Toney and Cheeks, really can get it up the court. Toney is a half-court player as well as a fast break player.
Cummings loses it to Erving. Julius all the way. And Bobby Jones follows up. I'll tell you, Jones and Irving work awfully well together. And Bobby Jones, who moved from the sixth-man role into the starting spot. And you'll see Charles Barkley, the rookie, come off the bench. And the Sixers lead by 3. Moncrief. Sidney Moncrief, second leading scorer at nearly 22 a game.
Well, in order to get their offense established, the Bucks have got to really hit some outside shots. And that'll help an awful lot to develop their inside game with Lister and Cummings. If they can hit the bombs from downtown.
Bobby Jones guarded by Terry Cummings. Malone on the other end, and we'll have a Milwaukee foul.
We're going to see a great block by Bobby Jones, really hustling up as the Bucks pushed it up, trying to get their own defense, fast break going. But now he comes up the floor after making the block. And Dr. J on the fly is challenged by Cummings, but look at Bobby Jones right there. Key rebound, and they're better on the offensive board when they're doing stuff like that.
Alton Lister picked up a second personal foul with Julius Irving. Defended well by Pressey, and Moses Malone gets inside again. So Philadelphia already making its presence felt inside to an extent. Maintains the three-point lead. First period, Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn from Milwaukee. Cummings. Moncrief and Tony. That's a terrific matchup. Cummings against Malone. Terry Cummings with his first basket. He's the #1 reason why the Bucks were a surprise team this year, Tom.
Boy, he does a lot more things than people gave him credit for a couple of years ago, particularly that outside shot that he showed from 15 feet. He's dynamite with it.
7:45 remaining in the first period. They double-team Julius, leaving Cheeks open, and Maurice Cheeks hits the first shot from the outside, so they wanted to see how Mo could work with the bruised shoulder, and he hits the first shot.
Cheeks is going to be a prove-it-to-me player. Nelson says, I'll let you shoot till you prove to me you can make it, and we'll use your defender or Moses Malone to double-team him.
Cummings inside against the double-team. Wide open is Hodges. Hodges was open, but he has been a superb outside shooter all season. Also came in on a deal from the Clippers along with Terry Cummings and Ricky Pierce.
Sixers haven't used that matchup of Jay in the low post as much as I thought they might. But
Cheeks. Wow. Now let's see. Maurice Cheeks is hit. I don't believe it got him much on that shoulder. And Alton Lister has picked up his third personal foul and will go out of the ball game, replaced by Randy Brewer, who's 7'3" in his second year from Minnesota. So already Don Nelson going to his bench to replace Lister.
I'm sure he didn't want Lister to get those three quite as quickly. Brewer now presents a different type of problem for Moses Malone. He's much bigger than Lister and has a long arm span, and they don't want to challenge Moses.
Going to his bench to replace Lister.
I'm sure he didn't want Lister to get those three quite as quickly. Brewer now presents a different type of problem for Moses Malone. He's much bigger than Lister and has a long arm span, and they don't want to challenge Moses to block his shot, but they want to make sure that they keep him off the boards.
Brewer may also present a little bit better scoring ability, too.
Well, he's improved his game, but with the type of defense the other Sixers play, he may not have as good a chance to get that shot off as you think they will.
Maurice Cheeks has 6 of the Sixers' 14 points. They're up by 5, and there's a half-court trap by Philadelphia.
Just trying to get the Bucks guessing a little bit.
Cummings inside. Well, they're not going to do that much if Terry Cummings goes in. He's the tough man to match up with, and he played better against Philadelphia than he did against the rest of the league. Irving on the alley-oop from Mo Cheeks comes right back.
Well, I would expect, look for Dr. J down that low post or around the basket. He has the height advantage on Pressey.
5-point Philadelphia lead. Pressey cuts it to 3. Crowd thought there should have been a foul as well.
Well, you know, this is playoff basketball. They don't call them so quick sometimes in these games.
He did on Lister. I'll tell you that. They called 3 in a hurry. And now a foul called against the Milwaukee Bucks away from the ball. First personal foul on Randy Brewer. So far Milwaukee centers have picked up 4 personals. 6:16 to go in the first.
Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. The technology behind it.
Now he's a rookie. He makes the roof tremble and the floor tremble, and he's pretty quick.
Well, he could present a real tough matchup for the Bucks depending on who's going to guard him. It looks like right now Cummings, so they're going to match wide body against wide body. But if Pressey had to guard him, it'd be really tough.
They double team Malone with Brewer and Hodges. Julius Erving picked up by Hodges. They're doubling all over the court. And Moses Malone, fall away.
That's the shot, though, that Don Nelson wants him to take. The fall away. Doesn't want him to really take it to the middle. So even though he made it, that's the shot he wants Moses to take.
Milwaukee really out shooting Philadelphia, but on second chance points, the Sixers are up 8-0. So they're converting their missed shots, and that's why they have that 5-point lead. Cummings over Erving, and Terry Cummings, unstoppable against the Chicago Bulls. He has no playoff experience coming into this season, but I don't think that's going to affect it. Here's Barkley. Cummings on him. Barkley has that outside shot. A lot of people didn't think he did, but he does.
Well, particularly from that range, Dick, in a low post with a one bounce out and up, he's pretty tough. But from 18 feet facing in, he's had to learn how to shoot that one.
Houston underway against Utah in the 5th and deciding game of that first rounder of the Western Conference. Keep you posted on that game. Pressey with Julius all over him. Moncrief, triple teamed right now, goes up. And a 3-second violation called against Milwaukee. Moncrief is going to put it up with 3 Sixers around him.
Well, the Sixers have their own variation of swallowing you up in their defense. The ball gets inside, they'll surround you.
Sixers last year were knocked out by New Jersey in the opening round, so they've already gone farther. Malone, good feed from Tony. They get another shot? No. Milwaukee has it. Outlet to Hodges. Cheeks is back. Brewer, the trailer, and Maurice Cheeks stripped him of it. It's a 2-on-1 Philadelphia. And Mo Cheeks goes all the way, shoulder and all, and Philadelphia now leads 22-15 with 4:25 to go in the first period. Trouble for Don Nelson.
That fast break of the Sixers really paying off. The Bucks defense not really getting much of a chance to come into play.
Inside Cummings, awfully tough in there, but Philadelphia with Barkley on the rebound. 4-on-3. Sixers pushing the ball up well. Tony. Hodges. And cherry picking Sidney Moncrief. That's what Gus Williams did a lot in that previous series against the Bullets.
Well, Moncrief's a very smart player. He knew that Tony shooting from down there. He didn't make it. The backcourt was wide open. He took advantage of it.
3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the first period. Teams split the regular season 3-3, but the visiting club won 2 out of 3. So there was no home court edge during the regular season. Cheeks hits from outside.
Well, that's twice that they left Cheeks all alone in their eagerness to get the double teams on Moses and Dr. J. And right now, Cheeks is looking pretty good.
He's in his last 4. 10 in the ball game, and Pressey going strong to the hoop is fouled. That'll be the second foul against Philadelphia as the third head of that 3-headed center arrangement. Paul McKeskey comes into the ball game, replacing Terry Cummings.
Only right now he's going to play power forward, I think, as Brewer's still in the game. But he has the possibility of playing both positions, McKeskey. And we're going to find out whether he's going to be the third head of the
well, what does it mean to have McKeskey and Brewer in the
right now? They're going to try and overpower the Bucks. They're going to try and overpower the Sixers with size, with Brewer and McKeskey, and hope to take the boards away and perhaps get their own fast break going.
Craig Hodges is out. Ricky Pierce, he saw, came in the ball game. He was a question mark with a twisted knee. Terrific outside shooter who had fine success against Philadelphia during the regular season.
And he was exceptional in the last series against the Bulls from outside. So he might be a big factor in this game before it's over.
6-point lead for Philadelphia. Opening period. Clint Richardson is in the game. Clint Richardson has hit every shot when he was left open in the first round of the series. He is a red-hot player. Moncrief misses after the penetration. Malone to Tony all the way. Andrew Tony.
Boy, the Sixers are playing super defense and converting it into real good fast break opportunities right now.
And I'll tell you one thing they've done. They've taken the crowd out of this ball game by a big margin. Over 4 times. The Sixers can be turnover prone. They have protected the ball very well thus far. They lead by 10 with 2:35 to go in the first period. Pick and roll, Moncrief to Randy Brewer, and George Johnson fouls it. Now,
Well,
George Johnson is in the ball game, and he did not play hardly at all. Billy Cunningham used practically 8 men in the series against Washington.
here's a good pick and roll. Randy Brewer gets wide open, but the second-year player still doesn't have the bulk as a forward, pushes him away. You got to be a little bit stronger than that at 7'3" to go up and power the ball through, but he's going to be a good player, good outside shooter, and also has a nice touch around the basket. As soon as he gets that strength going, he's going to be a very, very successful player.
He's up to 240 pounds, and they suspect he'll be up to 250 next year, so he is going to bulk up more. It is a 28-20 game. George Johnson, who's acquired from Indiana, in the ball game, but Tony in the backcourt with Clint Richardson as Maurice Cheeks gets a breather. Johnson and Barkley up front with Moses Malone, and a whistle. Illegal defense called against the Milwaukee Bucks. That's the first. The second one will be, of course, a technical.
They caught Mokeski, who was supposed to be guarding Barkley on the opposite side in the lane for the more than 2.9 count.
And if you can explain that, you're going to be one of the few guys in the world.
You know, the surprise to me so far, Dick, is Billy Cunningham told us he was going to put Clem Johnson in a wide body. Instead, he comes with George Johnson. So Clem Johnson was supposed to be a factor in this series.
Ricky Pierce missing with 2 minutes. No, it goes in. Now we know why Ricky Pierce was shooting 58% in the regular season. 30-22 to score. Under 2 minutes to go. Malone has played this entire first period for the Philadelphia 76ers. Barkley firing away. Clint Richardson comes out of nowhere for it. Fires it up. 2 unwise shots, but Tony intercepts. And Milwaukee is not playing steady basketball the way Don Nelson would like. Tony comes right back and hits. Andrew Tony with 6 in the ball game.
Taking some good, smart shots, though, Andrew Tony.
10-point lead again for Philadelphia. 20 of their 32 coming from the backcourt. And a foul. Tony hit the deck, and a foul called against Milwaukee. It's their 15th foul.
Right. When Mokeski, the big body, sets a pick on Tony, you know you're going to get picked. But it also hurts an awful lot. You know, Mokeski is going to give Barkley a lot of trouble. The last shot that Barkley took, he got it right up on him and disturbed his rhythm on a jump shot.
Moses Malone goes up, and that will be Milwaukee's 5th foul, not the foul prior, and that'll send Moses Malone to the line. Paul McKeskey has his 2nd foul. So Lister had 3, went to the bench early, and now Paul McKeskey has 2 fouls. And Moses Malone, playing this entire period, has really beaten up on the Milwaukee center.
Well, McKeskey made a smart move to cut off the penetration of Moses Malone. That could have gone the other way, an offensive foul called on Malone. The fans here certainly wanted one.
Moses Malone, who led the Sixers in scoring, 9th in the league, and in rebounding, where he led the NBA for the 6th time, 5th in a row, under a minute to go, and a 12-point lead for Philadelphia. Biggest lead of the ball game, taking the play away from Milwaukee here in this opening period. Cummings, watched by Barkley. Ricky Pierce.
Well, there's a prove-it-to-me player that's proven it to. Ricky Pierce. They're leaving him to go over and help out on Cummings.
Tony putting a move on, and Pierce playing it very well. Saved, however, by George Johnson. 25 in the period. Tipped up. Malone again. Malone inside, and they're going to have to separate McKeskey from Malone as the tempers run high.
Well, you know, when you're an offensive player like Moses, and you know that the other team is planning on using all 18 fouls on you, you do get a little aggravated that can happen to you. So I think a little justification. They bang around in here. Moses is physical himself, and there's Mokeski really jamming him to make him go outside there. But 3 fouls on 2 of their big people.
Well,
tough move for the Bucks.
You talked about 18 fouls. You weren't talking about getting them all filled in the first period. 7 of the 18 already. It is a 36-24 game, 19 seconds to go, and a technical foul is called against McKeskey. Paul McKeskey is hit with a technical foul.
I don't know why McKeskey was upset. I mean, he really wrapped Moses and really held him and enjoyed at Jake O'Donnell. That's not too smart, Mr. America.
Tony hits the technical foul. So Lister and McKeskey each with 3 fouls, and now Clement Johnson is into the ball game, and Billy Cunningham says he needs one good game to really get back in stride. Malone goes out having scored 8 points and corralled 4 rebounds. And coming in the ball game is Chris Engler, who is the 4th center on this ball club.
Well, we end up with a 4-headed center now.
Final seconds.
All 4 of them. Wow.
Engler, this is the 4th team he's been with this year. Cummings. McKeskey is open. That's his shot. 1 second ago, and it was all Philadelphia. That is the end of the first period here in Milwaukee. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinal. The Sixers dominating the Bucks. A long way to go, though.
Got a 6'6" guy like Chris Mull. It's hard for Ken at 6 foot to get a shot off. There's Charles. Still doesn't go. McMillan follows. Lorenzo batted away, and a frustrated Lorenzo Charles.
And he had 2 points. Excellent hands by a St. John defender. Took it away from him.
Chris Mullen. All that work at the other end, and he just comes down and calmly puts one in.
That's what Jim Valvano told us yesterday. It's so difficult when you have to work so hard to get your points, and the other team comes down and scores so easily.
28-23. 2:48. 28-23. Barry backing into McQueen. Strong and yet at the same time so mobile as Walter Berry.
Game starting to slip away right now. A little bit from NC State. It's a 7-point lead for St. John.
Webb in the open court is fun to watch, but he traveled this time. Well, maybe Louis' job on the sideline works a little.
Charles can do that. He can get himself.
At halftime, Memphis State's coach Dana Kirk will be our guest live in New York. Congratulations to the Metro Conference champions, back to the Final Four since Gene Bartow took the Tigers there.
Also to Rolly Massimino and Villanova. What a Cinderella team they've been in the NCAA tournament.
One of the Italians is in now.
That's right.
Rolly, and one other one will join him, either Valvano or
Coming off the bench, and Richardson needs to rise the more the team goes in the playoffs.
He's one of those sneaky rebounders. When you let him alone, he'll go get it. You got to block him out.
Engler out there setting a screen, forced to go with Chris Engler, the 4th center, because of the foul problems to McKeskey and Alton Lister. 2 seconds on the shot clock. Moncrief gets it off and hits just in the nick of time for Sidney Moncrief, and that gets the crowd going, although Philadelphia maintains the lead. Barkley is posting up Terry Cummings now. Johnson shooting over Pressey is short. Here's Moncrief. Milwaukee 3-on-2. Pierce. Ricky Pierce. 4 for 4 for Ricky Pierce, and Cunningham wants a timeout.
Legends of the NBA, the greats remember. Sponsored by Schick.
Trying to get back in this one, although the center position is a little bruised and battered right now.
The Sixers defense, their half-court defense, has been exceptional so far in this game. They've cut off the inside attack, the drive to the basket of the Bucks, And they've also gotten their fast break going very effectively off block shots, steals, and rebounds.
Here is the center comparison right now, and you see Moses Malone against the world has the edge in scoring and rebounds. And, of course, as you know, foul trouble has also hit the Bucks. Pressure by Milwaukee in the backcourt. Bobby Jones is back in the ball game. Cheeks and Richardson are the backcourt now. Clement Johnson and Barkley up front, along with Bobby Jones. Irving and Malone getting a lot of rest time right now.
That's good for this Sixer ball club. A good opportunity like that.
Richardson. Clint Richardson hits again. He has 8 points. 25 points for Philadelphia's backcourt in this ball game so far. Cummings. Barkley gets the rebound. He averaged nearly 13 rebounds a game in the first series against Washington. Under 10 minutes to go in the second period. A quiet Milwaukee crowd. Only a couple of times that they've exploded. And that's the reason why Philadelphia puts the pressure on both ends. And Cheeks has 12 to lead the Sixers.
Well, shoulder or no shoulder, Don Nelson says when he starts shooting, we just got to go out there and get him because he can hit him.
13-point lead. Matches the biggest of the ball game. Moncrief on the rebound against Clement Johnson. 8 points for Sidney Moncrief. He and Pierce lead the Milwaukee attack, and Moncrief has really been bottled up more times, more often than not, in the playoffs against Philadelphia. Barkley with a couple of pumps, gets his own rebound, and it doesn't go. He'll go to the line.
Oh, what a move that was. Reminded me a little bit of Elgin Baylor. When he knew he wasn't going to be able to score it, he just put it off the glass and waited to get the rebound and put it back up again.
Charles Barkley, very quick, and Billy Cunningham says only one problem, and that is concentration. He doesn't have it all the time, and most of the time it affects him defensively.
Well, rookies are like that. They don't concentrate for very long about anything. Usually it takes a couple of years for them to understand that the coach is serious about concentrating.
Billy Cunningham, who, by the way, is giving serious thought to hanging it up after this year. He always waits a week after the season is over, but I kind of have a hunch that this may be the year. He's got a teenage daughter, would like to go skiing with her and do some other things. He's very relaxed out there, which is unlike Billy at this time of the season.
He's got a nice little lead here, so he can afford to be a little relaxed.
Moncrief against Richardson. Pierce. 7 on the shot clock. Pressey misses. And Milwaukee's just not getting second chances in this ball game, and as a result, Philadelphia leads by 13. The crowd looks like that.
Philadelphia defense closing down the middle. They're going to have to hit some of those outside shots. They did it very well against the Bulls, but not here today.
Clement Johnson with a short jumper. Barkley is there. So Philadelphia pounding the offensive glass, so they didn't score there. Cummings in the open court. Scores. It used to be post up all the way, but he really has rounded out his game all court.
Well, he had all those skills, but some of the coaches said we want a wide body inside, make you play there, and took the other skills away from him.
Clement Johnson turnaround, Pierce the rebound. Bucks down by 11, winding down to 8 minutes to go in the half. Hodges for 3. Bobby Jones clear. Irving and Malone are getting a big rest in this game. Cheeks, Richardson, and Clint Richardson, with 10 points in the ball game, has been a miraculous outside shooter through these playoffs. 5 for 6 here.
You know, all during his career, a lot of people just didn't take him seriously as an outside shooter, Clint Richardson. Now they do.
Cummings comes back with the basket and is fouled as Moses Malone will come in. And the Sixers didn't lose anything when he went to the bench for that long rest.
Well, with the four-headed center that Nelson's employing, trying to sap Moses' stamina, a good rest in the first half will help Moses down the stretch in the fourth quarter.
And Julius Irving also comes back in the ball game. Houston with a 10-point lead in the second period over Utah. It's the deciding game of the first round in the Western Conference.
That's an interesting series. The big man of the Jazz against the two big guys of Houston, and Eaton has done an exceptional job. Blocked 10 shots in one game to set an NBA playoff record.
Philadelphia has led virtually all the way. Milwaukee had a 4-2 lead. Cheeks cutting inside with Jones on top, and a Milwaukee foul. It's against Craig Hodges. Second team foul on the Bucks, 2 on Hodges.
These 76ers are really just dissecting Don Nelson's defense. Intelligent, experienced team. Taking advantage of what Don Nelson gives his offense.
Irving short, and he knew it. Brewer the rebound. Knocks Bobby Jones away. Hodges can't save it. Philadelphia ball, and Milwaukee Bucks are just not with it. And Philadelphia, of course, is responsible for most of it, as the turnover story tells a lot.
They're forcing the fast break, the Bucks, and that's where they're losing the ball most of all.
Moncrief doubling with Brewer on Malone. Open is Richardson. Here he goes again, and Clint Richardson has 12 points. He's 6 out of 7 from the field, and now it is Philadelphia by 12, and they've kept that lead from 9 to 13 throughout most of this game.
And Moses Malone with the double, he just saw it develop and found the wide open man.
6.5 to go. First half. Cummings. And Milwaukee missing, and they're getting just one shot. I can't recall when they had a second shot at the basket. Sixers setting up the half-court game. Mo Cheeks. Malone against Brewer. 6 on the shot clock for the Sixers. Mo Cheeks. Bobby Jones. Malone is open. And Philadelphia leads 51 to 37, and that's the biggest lead of the ball game for the Sixers, who have really, from the opening tip, have dominated this game.
On the boards and on defense.
Moncrief comes right back. He's doing his best to keep the Bucks in. He has 10, Cummings 11 to lead Milwaukee. We talked about the offensive boards for Philadelphia and the defensive boards for the Sixers. That's the story.
Well, with all those heads playing center, you'd expect perhaps they get some boards, but the real good rebounder for this ball club, the Bucks, is Mokeski.
Malone going outside. Missing. Pressing to Moncrief. Bobby Jones is there. What a play by Moncrief. He had Bobby Jones right in front of him. Put up the shot, and Sidney trying to keep the Bucks in the game. And they are down by 10. Crowd wakes up now. Julius. Richardson. Clint Richardson.
Well, he's having a game to write home to mom about.
He's hit 5 in a row, 8 out of 9, and it's 53 to 41. Philadelphia doing all the right things in this one. Brewer fouled inside.
Remember earlier you said that Brewer might be able to get off that shot on the inside. He moves so slowly that anybody coming down from on top to help out really gives him a lot of trouble.
I tell you, Malone may be on a vacation after Jeff Ruland.
And say, you've got to beat me with that shot.
Clint Richardson has hit 7 of 8. He shot 63% against the Bullets. And, you know, when people say, gee, look at all your scoring, he says that's not surprising because he was a prolific scorer at Seattle University. But he gained his reputation as a good rebounder for a guard and a defensive ace. There he is when he got into the professional ranks. Clint Richardson, he's been a handy man for Philadelphia. Randy Brewer has one more.
We mentioned last week when we did the Bulls game that this guy looks like a young Ed McCauley. Used to play for the Celtics years ago. Easy Ed. It hasn't been too easy for him here today.
We haven't seen Lister since he picked up 3 early fouls. Paul McKeskey also 3 quick ones. Trap defense. Cummings might have been hit in the stomach, and Jones and Cummings collided, and Terry got the worst of it.
They could really not afford to lose him.
Foul. 34.
Look like they're going to lose him. But
a little collision on the sideline. They're trying to get a lot more aggressive. The Bucks on defense now get out into the passing lanes, and as a consequence, bodies do collide.
Philadelphia by 11. It's been methodical so far. Moncrief and Tony banging away from the hoop, and they're going to call the foul on Sidney Moncrief. 14th foul against Milwaukee.
Sidney Moncrief will fight any pick that you try and lay on him. Anytime you try to knock him down with a block or something, he'll go right at you.
Loop it into Malone. Moses Malone, who now has 12 points. Malone and Cheeks have 12, but Clint Richardson with that superb outside shooting leads the Sixers with 14. Philadelphia still has not committed a turnover in the ball game, and that's maybe the big story here. 55-42, 13-point lead, winding down to 4 minutes to go in the first half. Dick Stockton and Tom Heinsohn, game one of the playoff here. Best of 7. Hodges right at the buzzer misses. But here come the Sixers. Tony has Irving ahead of the field. Not control. He'll set up the half court. It's worked for him today, hasn't it?
Sure has. Now they're trying to get the ball inside to work on Pressey.
Malone over Moncrief, and Moses Malone, 14 points now.
Billy C says when they start doubling, every once in a while I'll move Moses outside to confuse their double-teaming defense, because he can hit the jump shot from out there.
Houston up by 10. They've had the lead throughout in that deciding game at the Summit. Moncrief draws the foul. Tony commits it, and Sidney will shoot 2. The Milwaukee Bucks have won 18 in a row here at the Milwaukee Arena, 16 of the last regular season games, and 2 against Chicago, and that streak is in jeopardy here.
It sure is. You know, Dick, one of the interesting things about this Sixer team, they were having what appeared to be morale problems at the tail end of the season, but they look like they're ready for playoff activity now. They got their heads really into it.
We asked Billy Cunningham about the so-called morale problems, and he didn't deny it, but he said, you know, when you don't win, no matter what the reason, you're going to have some problems.
He also said he likes players that will not settle for the status quo, and he doesn't like guys that will say, okay, let's keep losing. He wants somebody to react to losing, which the Sixers did.
3 minutes, 10 seconds to go first half. Bad pass by Cheeks. Pressey to Moncrief. Moncrief, 16 points. Has been carrying the gauntlet for Milwaukee in this first half. Philly by 11, under 3 minutes to go, and now a 20-second timeout called by Billy Cunningham.
Here's Moncrief. Brewer actually stepped out there and picked off that pass, but they converted with the speed that this Bucks team has into some easy fast break opportunities.
Sidney Moncrief has 12 in this second period.
Coming up at the half, we'll have a look at the other game in progress now between Houston and Utah. It's the 5th game in that series. We'll see why world champion Boston Celtics are having some pain in their bid to repeat. And we'll have a live report from Brent Musburger and Hubie Brown on the second game of today's doubleheader. We'll also update you on a surprise entry now into the NBA draft. And, of course, the wisdom of Phoenix Suns coach John McLeod. All that and more coming up at the half. And Tommy, John McLeod said with all those injuries, he could have used you as is with that hook shot of yours.
But they're hanging in there fairly well without Lister and Molkeski being in there. And if they can hold still right for the remaining 2:44 in this ball game and bring Lister back and Molkeski in the second half, it'll be a different ball game. So things aren't totally over yet for the Bucks.
That was only the second turnover by Philadelphia. They went 21 minutes of this game before committing their first. 2:39 remaining in the first half, 57-46. They can cut it to 9 here. Brewer going in against Malone, and it's a 9-point game. The Bucks have cut it to 39-30, but Milwaukee has run off 6 in a row after the Sixers went on a burst. So if they can knock it down under 10 by the end of the first half, they're not going to feel all too bad.
No, I think they'll figure that they still have a good chance to win this game.
Malone way outside. Brewer away from the hoop. Malone fires it up. Misses. Ricky Pierce in the corner. Hodges going to the hoop. And it's down to 7, and Billy Cunningham does not want to see a late rally by Milwaukee. But here are the Bucks, down 57-50, 8 in a row.
A little good defense in order for the Bucks right now. Brewer played some fine defense on Moses last
going
night.
inside with a vengeance and a foul as well. That's what he did in the fourth period against Washington. He took the game in his own hand.
Well, they're up on the fast break, and now because they hit some shots from the corner, they have to race at him. That allows Hodges to go to the hoop strong.
Irving will try to complete the three-point play. Here's how he got the 2.
Well, they let him loose on the baseline with no help, and that's danger.
Irving now with 5 points in the game. The foul was on Brewer, his second. So a big three-point play opens it up to 10 again, and just about a minute and a half to go in the first half.
Old Dr. J is the leader of this ball club. He doesn't want this game to get out of hand.
Pierce. Brewer crashing, gets the offensive board. Blocked by Malone, the foul on Malone. For Moses, that'll be his first personal foul. Julius Erving will go to the bench, replaced by Bobby Jones. The crowd loves it when the foul is on number 2.
Now here's Randy Brewer. Moses not going to block him off, allows the 7'3" player to get right back in there, and Brewer with the big size has the ability to get over Moses. Forced him to commit the foul.
Brewer misses one opportunity. He's out of the University of Minnesota. Many of the drafts in recent years by the Bucks were projects, including Randy Brewer.
He's coming along a little bit quicker than I thought he'd come along.
Here's Julius on the bench. He scored 5, but had the big three-point play a moment ago. 1:10 remaining first half. Milwaukee by 9. Malone doubled with Hodges and Brewer. Good move to the hoop. He went around Randy Brewer.
Boy, get through that double the way he does. That's a pretty good move for a center.
16 for Malone. He and Moncrief are the high scorers in this first half. This is game 1, best of 7, Eastern Conference semifinal. Hodges for 3, and Malone gets a rebound. 38 seconds and running now, and 18 on the shot clock for the Sixers. Led just about all the way in this first half. Milwaukee cut it to 7. That's as close as they've come. Barkley fakes Cummings out of his shoes and goes in with the stuff play.
All right, little up fake, lifted Cummings. That's unusual for Cummings. Normally pretty good defensive player. Must have thought he saw something.
So Philadelphia down to 7, up again now by 13 points. And will go into the dressing room with the kind of a lead they've enjoyed throughout the first half. Pierce off of his screen with 3 seconds missing. And a foul called against Milwaukee, and it may be Cummings. Loose ball foul. Terry Cummings, his second foul, and so Philadelphia with 1 second remaining.
Billy Cunningham felt this was a big game for his ball club. Because so many of the Bucks have relatively little playoff experience that if he could win this first ball game, he was sure that Hodges would pull up a little bit lame on some jump shots, and perhaps Cummings wouldn't be as cocksure as he has been. So I'm sure Billy wants to make that happen to see if he's correct.
Well, he's not just interested in stealing a game here. He wants to wrap it up as quickly as possible because he knows with a win he's got to play Boston or Detroit in the next round, and farther on down the line the Lakers. 15-point lead. And that'll do it for the first half. Well, Milwaukee cut it down, but Philadelphia put on the steam in the first half, 66-51 in favor of the Sixers. Pat O'Brien will be coming up next.
Well, he's always done it, high school, college, and pro, Brent. And Chuck Daly wants the ball in Isaiah's hands every time the game is up for grabs.
Now, what will K.C. Jones try to do against him defensively?
Right, big man can make a franchise.
In the early days of the NBA, it was George Mikan. Then it was the Chamberlain-Russell era. They epitomized the big man. And for the past 16 years, the ageless Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, from the Sudan, there is Manute Bol, and at 7'6", minute, he is not.
He is the classic project.
Yep, I read about it. He's an awesome, towering individual.
He may be 7'6", but he's only 190 pounds. He just finished his freshman year at the University of Bridgeport, Connecticut. After averaging 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 block shots a game, he's looking to turn pro with mixed reviews.
When there is someone that big out there, you look at him and look at the potential down the road. Can he gain weight? Can he become a more knowledgeable player about the game? And if so, he's a chance player.
He certainly won't play in the NBA. I think possibly he might play in one of the 2 minor leagues in the United States, or certainly he'll play overseas in some other particular venue.
As for Ball, he is determined to make it to the NBA despite the critics.
I say that I can play for them. but they don't think I can play, you know. So if I don't play here, I'll make it somewhere. There's a lot of ways you can make it, and maybe later on I can make it in NBA.
Coach, would you be confident with him as your center?
Pat, I wouldn't be. He needs to be a lot stronger, and his background needs to improve.
What does he need, 60 pounds?
He needs 60 pounds, Pat, and he needs a lot of playing.
Send him to Italy. Put him on the pasta diet. Okay, CBS Sports coverage of the 1985 NBA playoffs continues.
And I think that's the key area.
Normally enthusiastic crowd out of the game when we have second half of action to go, and it's 66-51. Milwaukee controls with Sidney Moncrief and Craig Hodges in the backcourt. Paul Pressey and Terry Cummings up front with Alton Lister starting. And the first shot is missed by Hodges. And here comes Tony to Bobby Jones, going strong to the hoop. The basket, no. Offensive foul, Bobby Jones. Moncrief really got positioned well. One of the best defensive players in the league.
Yes, but you can see that they're willing to really take it up the court again. They knew, the Sixers, that the fast break meant everything to them. They're going to keep that going as much as they can.
Philadelphia had an 11-3 offensive rebounding edge in the first half, and that translated into 16 more shots than Milwaukee.
And that is a big statistic as far as I'm concerned. You have to hit an awful good percentage when you shoot 16 fewer shots.
Malone against Lister. Pressey to rebound. Lister filling the lane on the right side. Pressey to Cummings, the trailer. Lister, and Philly got a hand on the ball. Might have been Mo Cheeks, and it's going to be Milwaukee ball, but they didn't get the easy two.
It was Bobby Jones in his usual hustling capacity. Got a hand on it.
You're right. Moncrief missed. Lister falls down and travels in the process.
I'll tell you, both Cummings and Lister are all knuckles right now, fumbling those rebounds. They're hustling, but they can't gain control of the ball.
Philadelphia's committed only 2 turnovers in the game. They're a perfect 12 for 12 from the line. If this were a baseball game with a pitcher, he'd be doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Cheeks fires away outside. So Maurice Cheeks, with the bruised shoulder, is 6 for 9 from the field, and the biggest lead of the ball game, 68-51 for Philadelphia.
Well, Nelson probably will have to reevaluate that decision to leave him alone.
Lister doubled. Moncrief kept the Bucks in the ball game. Pressey. Hodges, 2-point try. He was on the line, and Craig Hodges hits his second shot. We talk about playoff inexperience. That could be affecting Hodges.
Well, he's positioned out there for the long outside shot. When you're hot, and when you're not, you're not.
Irving missing, and here's Moncrief. 3-on-3. Philadelphia gets back defensively. But Lister coming in. Alton Lister getting into the offense.
On a fast break, a big factor. He beat Moses up the floor. That's the stamina thing which they're trying to develop. Running Moses up on the D.
9:35 to go, third period. Julius Irving outside. Milwaukee has not been effective outside, and the Sixers have.
And that was the big plus they had in the Bulls series going, that outside shooting. It's evaporated here today.
15-point lead, Philadelphia. Pressey comes back with 2. Moncrief with 16 leads the Bucks. Malone with 18, the high scorer for Philadelphia.
Right, Cheeks doesn't want the pace of this game to slow down at all.
Pressey overplaying, gambling, and Irving had a clear sail to the basket. Milwaukee coming back. 3-point attempt missed by Hodges. Fancy dribble by Irving going in against Moncrief. Bobby Jones was right behind. Bucks coming back. 3 is Pressey. Crashing the boards. And it's Alton Lister with his 4th personal foul. So Lister picks up the 4th in a hurry. And we'll take a timeout here.
Timeout.
At a sticker price of $59.99, this Nissan lists for $1.
Tommy, we said at the outset that the matchup with the 3 centers of Milwaukee against Moses Malone could ultimately decide the series. If that's the case, Milwaukee has a big problem.
Well, there's Lister with 4 and Mokeski with 3. and they were forced to play Brewer perhaps more than they wanted to because of those early fouls. So the centers can't be too aggressive. I'm sure Nelson wanted to use those fouls with a little bit more discrimination than Lister and Molkeski used them. They were really in there trying too hard and banging too hard.
Well, talking about banging hard, that's what the Celtics and the Detroit Pistons will be doing at the Boston Garden, Game 1 of their Eastern semifinal, coming up next on CBS Sports. Isaiah Thomas, as good as you'll find, a spectacular point guard. The Boston Celtics with their array of stars, led, of course, by Larry Bird. Coming up next on CBS, the NBA playoffs continue. Cheeks working against Hodges. Tony's in there, Bobby Jones, Julius Erving, and Moses Malone. Malone is left open, and he will take the shot. Lister clear.
Well, they put a little change-up defense that time, try to confuse the Sixers, and they came up with a Moses Malone jump shot.
Cummings jumper. Terry Cummings, 13 points. What did Billy Cunningham say? We've got to take away the baseline shot from Terry Cummings. Julius knocked away by Pressey. Keeps it in play, but in the hands of Irving. Moncrief clears. Milwaukee really blocked out well. Lister blocked by Moses Malone. Pressey. Crowd thought Moses had committed a foul. And Cummings is fouled. Lister is still complaining over that non-call.
Well, he thought it might have been goaltending, too. He thought it might have hit the glass with the shot. But he sure wants to get as many fouls on Moses as he has himself. But that doesn't happen too often.
No. Bobby Jones has replaced Julius Erving in the Philadelphia lineup. The doctor has scored 7. Jones, a good defensive player in there right now.
Barkley's going to take Cummings, and Jones is going to take Pressey.
Barkley is in the ball game, so Barkley and Jones. Barkley bumped Cummings before the shot.
Using Cummings in the low post a lot against Barkley, trying to take advantage of his inexperience. They'll go right at him. Throughout the league, he's not known as one of the better defenders, so they're going to try and take advantage there.
2 on Barkley. Milwaukee has gotten off a lot more shots than Philadelphia. Stolen back by Cummings. 11-point game. The Bucks. Cummings behind his back. And Barkley and Malone stopped them inside at the pass. Tony to Bobby Jones to an open Barkley inside. Basket counts and a foul. Cummings couldn't have played him any better.
I don't believe.
Get a look at Charles Barkley's skills inside.
I don't believe the shot that man just made. Charles Barkley, Cummings, who's a horse and a half. Watch Barkley come up on this, take the blow, almost hit the ground as he comes down, and still have the strength to put it in. Look at that strength. And boy, it was Cummings, that pretty strong individual himself, that banged it.
9 points, 5 rebounds for Charles Barkley as a 6th man, or coming off the bench. Clint Richardson off the bench has 14. So the Sixers have gotten some mileage from their reserves. 14-point lead. Moncrief, no basket. Offensive foul against Milwaukee. Moncrief second.
Smart defensive play by Andrew Toney. He knew he was half beaten once Cummings got the ball in that position to make the feed to Moncrief, and he just took a little nudge from Moncrief and turned it into a foul.
Houston and Utah. Keep in mind in that game, Mark Eaton, the great shot blocker for the Jazz, went down with what they thought might be some ligament damage. They expect that he may play in the second half. Barkley gets the ball back and is fouled, and an injured player is Paul Pressey for the moment. Slow getting up is the point forward, as they call him, of the Milwaukee Bucks. Tough day so far for Milwaukee.
Over the years, we've watched old number 51 retire a lot of ball carriers, but tonight we're going to retire him. So let's do it his way. Turn over those wine glasses and bring on the Lowenbrow.
Just remember, if you guys start messing up, I'm coming back. Let it be Lowenbrow.
Just last week, Jim McGill had his car tuned and checked for any problems. But there was one his mechanic couldn't see.
The fan belt.
Even this morning, no mechanic could have seen it would break because today's engine belts don't usually show signs of wear. But after 4 years, even the best belts can go anytime. Is your car 4 years old or older? Change the belts and ask for Gates, because nobody knows more about belts.
I hate errors, even when I paint something. That's why I like Krylon spray paint. Look, spray this one with Krylon, this one with this other brand. Krylon goes on smooth, professional. No runs, no drips, no errors.
Hey, that's baseball talk.
That's Krylon talk. 12 minutes later, Krylon's dry to the tackle. An hour later, the other one's still wet, see? Krylon for a smooth, fast, professional finish.
Let's take a look at the Western Conference playoffs. The Lakers rolled over Portland to take a 1-0 lead in their conference semifinal battle. Houston continues to lead Utah. Mark Eaton has not come back in the game for the Jazz. San Antonio and Denver will decide that first-round series tonight in Denver. Paul Pressey went to the dressing room, and here's why.
Watch his right foot as he comes down. He just comes down on the side of his teammate's foot and twists it. Seemingly nobody around, but those sometimes are how the most innocuous injuries happen with nobody around. But he's really hurt, and he went to the locker room, and they can ill afford to lose him because they need his defense.
He has 10 rebounds and 8 assists and 7 points. Very quietly, he has done the job for Milwaukee. We've been looking at Moncrief and Cummings. Paul Pressey has done his part plus so far for the Bucks, who trail 73-59. Barkley on the line. Shooting has been way off this period. Philadelphia at 30%, Milwaukee at 29%. Both were hot, over 50% in the first half.
Well, the Milwaukee defense has backed off a number of the Philadelphia players now, including even Dr. J, and clogged up even the passing lanes to Moses Malone.
Biggest lead, 17 in this game by Philadelphia. Not far from that right now. Ricky Pierce looking for Cummings against Barkley, doubled by Tony. Cheeks picks up Pierce, doubled by Tony. Tony's all over the court. He was on McKeskey, who's come in the game, who missed. Andrew Tony was guarding 3 different people.
Well, that's the mark of a good double-teaming defense, the rotation.
Cheeks hits outside. Maurice Cheeks has 16 points in the ball game. And the biggest lead.
I'll tell you, this 76er team has played superb basketball. The full capabilities of what this team has displayed here so far in this game.
Barkley with his 3rd foul, each team with 3 team fouls. 6:10 remaining in the 3rd period. Quiet crowd in Milwaukee because the Sixers have outplayed the Milwaukee Bucks. And Billy said, like to jump on this team. And you can see there is some semblance of inexperience on many of these players.
Well, they played against a Bulls team that didn't have much inside power, and this Philadelphia team is completely different.
Charles Davis, who was picked up on waivers earlier in the year from the Bullets, number 23, has come in the ball game. So Don Nelson trying to find a combination, going deep to his bench. Barkley with a pump stayed up forever and has 13 points in the ball game.
How does a man that big stay up forever?
Why is a #1 draft pick who moved as a starter? He was a starter power forward most of the year for Billy C. Moncrief against Tony. McKeskey over Clement Johnson. Out of bounds, Philadelphia ball.
Boy, they have just not been able to handle those rebounds cleanly, these Bucks. Everybody's fumbling rebounds.
Timeout by Philadelphia. Color this red and blue. Sixers. Orange center is not going to be coming back in the ball game for Utah. And that's going to sorely hurt the Jazz. Meanwhile, Paul Pressey comes out of the locker room to rejoin the Milwaukee bench and see what he can do about cutting this deficit.
With a new tape job, no doubt. But he has been immense on the boards. A man that size getting 10 rebounds in less than 3 quarters, pretty impressive.
Julius Erving replaces Bobby Jones for Billy Cunningham, who could not have written a better script for the game. They're out rebounding Milwaukee, not committing turnovers. Perfect from the free throw line and running that fast break. 5:10 remaining in the 3rd period. Lister on Barkley. Barkley can do no wrong. He has 15 points You name it, he'll do it.
Billy Cunningham said in the Washington series that was the best he's ever seen Barkley play this season. And he's continuing right along.
So there's a rookie who's coming on in the playoffs and playing good ball, maybe his best of the year. No basket. Foul.
Well, right now, Don Nelson has the best hopes of gaining control of the rebound department. Lister and Molkeski in at the same time, as we see Greavy, who perhaps will have a hot hand from the outside, something they've been sorely lacking most of the afternoon.
He's 31 years old, and he's the senior member of this club and has some playoff experience. He was a champion with the Bullets, starter.
Well, Molkeski sits down, so they're going with the speedy guys and the outside shooters.
22-point lead for Philadelphia. 4:40 to go. Davis on a good feed from Lister. So Charles Davis, who had a big game this year against Philadelphia with 23 points, hobbling coming up court. Greavy, the only thing about Kevin is that he could be a defensive liability. He's got that outside shooting ability. Malone looking up at that clock. Double team. Cheeks is open. Lister controls. Outlet to Pierce. And Pierce. Ricky Pierce, 10 points coming off the bench. He was the real sleeper, Don Nelson said, in his deal with the Clippers.
In order for Milwaukee to be really effective, 8 men really have to contribute in all departments, offensively and defensively, because they really don't have, other than Cummings, a tremendous scorer. So guys like Pierce have to be very, very effective when they come in.
Clement Johnson, triple team, goes to the hoop, gets his own rebound, and traveling called against Clement Johnson. Clint Richardson will come into the ball game. He scored 14 points in the first half, mostly from the outside, and Maurice Cheeks will get a rest. Cheeks has 14 points and 6 assists, nursing that bruised shoulder, which has not been a factor. Davis over Malone. Lister grabs the offensive glass, and there's Kevin Greavy for the layup.
Well, the big man just turns in when he feels a double team. Look for the cutter. 2 good passes by Lister to spark a little bit of a comeback.
6 in a row by Milwaukee is broken by that alley-oop to Julius Erving, who has 9 points in the ball game. Milwaukee cut a 13-point lead to 7 with 3 minutes to go in the first half, and then the Sixers ran off a 9-1 spurt, and they've been up here.
And look at who Moses has gotten, a forward this time.
Clement Johnson is on Lister. Looks like Philadelphia can match up any way they want, and it's going to work for him. Greavy. Lister gets it back from Milwaukee and loses the ball, and here's the doctor. Foul is on Alton Lister, and that'll be number 5 on Alton Lister.
Looked like a goaltending violation, too. Well, Lister just came out in the beginning of this ball game, Dick, and really did what Nelson wanted to do, play Moses physically, and maybe not a smart move in the early stages of a game. You got to let the referees get into the game, too, you know. And they're liable to call anything to set the tempo of the game. You got to be a little cautious about the body contact, and they're paying the price of Lister playing most of the first half on the bench.
So you're thinking that a lot of that adrenaline worked against some of the people on Milwaukee this game?
Well, nobody really knew how this experiment was going to work with the 3-headed center. They were 3-3 with the Sixers during the season, but I don't think that was really would indicate what the potential of this series really would be. I mean, the power game of the Sixers, very, very good.
Sixers are perfect from the free throw line. 17 for 17. 2:25 to go in the third period. Ricky Pierce hits outside. So Philadelphia, using your expression, allowing those prove-it-to-me players take the shot. They have little to lose. Meanwhile, Houston and Utah, they have a lot to lose if they are out of this game. They've opened up a 12-point advantage. Mark Eaton not in there for Utah, and Houston may be going to town with Elijah Wan and Sampson and company. Meanwhile, Malone fights his way inside, and he has 20 points in the ballgame.
Very smart move. Knew that Lister perhaps was not going to go for the block, and played it. Took it strong to the hoop.
1:50 to go. Cummings. Greavy saves it. Cummings inside, and they're going to call the foul on Andrew Toney of the Sixers. 15 foul against Philadelphia, so Greavy will go to the line and shoot. 1+1. Philadelphia 76ers, not a big team. In fact, maybe the smallest in the NBA and very delicate. They ride that fine line. They have to have all things working.
The Bucks or the Sixers?
Sixers.
The Sixers, you're right, because their injuries, the key guy, I think, for this series is Clem Johnson. If he can play and be really effective game by game, if there's any breakdown in Moses' game, Clem Johnson could make up for it.
Turnover. Milwaukee will have the ball again. Down by 18 with 1:43 to go, and Billy Cunningham not taking any chances right now. Milwaukee could cut that lead down. Coming up next, it'll be the Boston Celtics, who are the defending NBA champions, against the Detroit Pistons. We've talked about Tripucka and Bird, but you got Bill Laimbeer, who likes to go outside to Pop, and Robert Parrish in the center matchup in this game.
Well, that should go to Parrish on the inside, but Laimbeer makes his presence felt on the boards and is also very effective coming up on that very vaunted fast break of the Pistons as the fifth man. He hits that outside shot so well, Parrish is going to have to hustle back with him. But, you know, this series right now, I think, is between those two ball clubs, fast break against fast break. I think the Pistons really got more speed than the Celtics.
You know, early in the year, a lot of people complained that Casey Jones was using his starters too much, and maybe he had because they're kind of banged up, but he does have a semblance of a bench. Ray Williams has been a terrific addition, and Scott Wedman has chipped in too, so he is not to lead. Otherwise, it's been Philadelphia. Moses Malone leading for Philadelphia, and Sidney Moncrief, who has not scored in the second half. Bucks will inbound. They cut the lead to 57-50 late in the first half. That's as close as they've come. Cummings. 16 points lead, 87-71. Was 22. Greavy can't save it to a teammate. Malone going strong to the hoop. And Moses Malone, 22 points.
And Nelson is really upset at Lister not going after that block that time.
No basket, and line violation by Milwaukee. Philadelphia bringing it up. Lister is playing with those 5 fouls. Ron Nelson has to throw all caution to the wind, even though we still have a full fourth period to go and a minute left in the third. Malone inside to the doctor. Spins around. Cummings fouls, and that will be 4 on Terry Cummings.
A little inventiveness there by the doctor.
And that will be 4 on Terry Cummings.
A little inventiveness there by the doctor. He felt the pressure on one side of his body and released the ball on the opposite side, not knowing where the basket really was.
As we said at the outset, Philadelphia won the 3 previous battles in playoff competition against Milwaukee, but the Bucks having the home court edge under Don Nelson for the first time in this kind of a series, and Philadelphia taking them out of it totally.
Well, you know, Billy Cunningham said, I saved the doctor and Bobby Jones. Didn't play him an awful lot of minutes just in getting ready for the playoffs, and we're seeing the result of that. Dr. J very effective on the break, as is Bobby Jones.
Greavy stepped on the line, and so Sixers will take over. Craig Hodges will report into the ball game. Lister goes out, so we have a small team in there once again, and a real small team for the Bucks.
Well, this is going to be a full-out press team now. They'll gamble all over the place. Double team, scramble, and try and confuse the Sixers to find the open man, but Cummings is going to have to deal with this guy, Moses Malone.
And there's the result. A 3-point play. He ducked under the double team, and Moses Malone scores again. So whatever combination Don Nelson is using, he's coming up empty here.
Well, watch. They double him from the baseline, and that's Greavy. And he says, as soon as Moses puts his head down, I'm getting out of here. Nobody wants to get in Moses' way when he's got a head of steam going.
Greavy the foul. Malone the free throw. 26 seconds to go, and Moses Malone has 25 points, 6 rebounds. He hasn't needed to do the job off the glass. And a 3-point shot. by Craig Hodges. 20-point lead for Philadelphia. Seconds to go. In a hurry. And that's it. So that's the end of the third period with the score. Philadelphia 94, Milwaukee 74. We'll return after this word from your local station.
This is CBS.
People walk, run, and jog.
It's Michael Jordan!
You need more than just natural talent to make it in the NBA. It takes a lot of hard work and good coaching. These Special Olympians are just starting out, but they're going to make it in their league, too. If you want something great to happen, encourage mentally retarded people to join Special Olympics.
Write Special Olympics, Box 19106, Washington, D.C.
It gives us all something to shoot for, together.
The NBA on CBS. Today's playoff game is sponsored by Light Beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted.
We start the fourth period here at Milwaukee Arena, where it's been full but quiet. And the reason why, just look at the numbers. Philadelphia leading Milwaukee. They've been in front all the way by a solid margin and have just done the job down the line. You name it. There's the turnover story and resulting into the points. Philadelphia has had the big edge. Jones feeding Malone, took his eye off the ball. But Clement Johnson will go to the line and shoot.
You know, for an inexperienced team, we talked about it before, the Bucks, most of these Bucks players have not played in prior playoffs. To lose the first game really is Nelson's responsibility now to get them to say, forget this thing. We still have the home court advantage. We can go down to Philadelphia and win one of those games. And you got to throw off this win. It becomes a big, big margin. You got to throw it off and say to yourself and your players, listen, we just played a horrible ball game. Look at how well we played against Chicago. We'll do the same thing against these Sixers before it's over.
That was the first miss from the free throw line by Philadelphia. That's a good point, except that they don't have that home court advantage anymore unless they win a game in Philadelphia. But I don't know whether this is going to be a home court series anyway. Regular season didn't prove to be that way. Steal. Bobby Jones caused it. Here's Clint Richardson to Maurice Cheeks going in against Greavy. Maurice Cheeks has 18 points in the ball game, and he hasn't winched once in this game. Nope.
Just when they took him out.
Cummings going inside. Good play by Cummings.
Well, he's their center now, wheeling and dealing against the two big guys of the Sixers, Clem Johnson and Moses.
Charles Davis, Greavy, Ricky Pierce, and Craig Hodges. But coming in is Clement Johnson, who has 3 points off the bench. I think he's an important man in this fourth period, even though Philadelphia has the lead. Billy wants him to have a good game here.
Absolutely. He was playing so well before he hurt his back. Real impact player all season long for him, and an effective player coming off the bench, and they need that. They're going to go.
Steal. Cheeks. Fouled by Hodges. And now they say it is just Philadelphia ball, no foul call. Utah, despite the loss of Mark Eaton, to our knowledge, he has not come back. Trailing Houston by 9 points in the third period. Bill Fitch, Houston Rockets, trying to advance to the conference semifinals to play the winner of Denver's San Antonio, and that'll be decided tonight in Denver. 10.5 remaining. 23-point lead for Philadelphia. Malone outside. He's got it from everywhere. 27 in the ball game.
Cummings playing him is like a fly flicking at him. Even though Cummings is pretty big, Moses is used to the real big ones.
Hodges, three-point attempt, and Cheeks committing the foul. Well, Philadelphia can try a few things as Brewer comes back in the ball game now. They can play it loosey-goosey with a big lead.
Cummings going out. You know, Don Nelson doesn't want Cummings to be fatigued. That's one of his health problems, is to not make sure that Cummings does not really get fatigued in the ball game, so he's ever alert to get him out of the game. And with this type of score, we may not see him back in the ball game.
17 points to lead the team, but he has no rebounds. And Cummings was the leading rebounder for Milwaukee this year, averaging over 9 boards a game. Hodges. And it's 101-78. Full court pressure by the Milwaukee Bucks. Cheeks loses it. Into the game, Paul Thompson. Quiet from Cleveland. They like him very much. Down the line, though. But he's in there now, number 6. Brewer from Hodges. You know, Maurice Cheeks remains in the lineup for Philadelphia, and Billy Cunningham, despite the bruised shoulder, going with Mo, so apparently he feels pretty good. Steele on the double team. Greedy going in. Blocked by Malone. And here's Clint Richardson. Clement Johnson and Cheeks.
The reason Cheeks is still in there, Dick, is because they need his ball handling and leadership against this Milwaukee press.
21-point lead. Malone loses it. And it's going to be...
There's a nice steal by the Bucks on that press, but watch Malone hustle back and swat it away, and then the Sixers come up with it.
Philadelphia ball when we come back to the arena.
Giving that extra effort makes winners. The All-You-Can-Be, sponsored by the U.S. Army. Detroit's Bill Laimbeer has made himself an all-star. The 6'11" Notre Dame grad has developed a quick release and a soft touch to become one of basketball's most productive centers. And while not blessed with great leaping ability, Laimbeer uses his strength and positioning to rank among the NBA's top rebounders. Among basketball's supreme overachievers, Bill Laimbeer does what it takes to be the best he can be.
Now that I know that the cost of tuition isn't going to sideline fast.
Look at Utah. They've cut the Houston lead to 5. They're in the 4th period at the Summit. Charles Barkley checks in for the Philadelphia 76ers. They've had a veteran team, and now they're sprinkling it with some youth. Barkley, of course, has had a terrific season as a rookie. Leon Wood hasn't played much, but they like him very much. He was of Olympic fame and Cal State Fullerton. We may get a chance to see him in the ball game. Foul against Kevin Greavy, his 2nd.
You know, Billy Cunningham reminds me of what Don Nelson did when he had to nurse certain older players through a season with Lanier. That's exactly what Cunningham is doing right now with Dr. J and Bobby Jones through the regular season, saying you're going to really do it for us in the playoffs. That's our best shot to win the championship. We can hang around, but you got to produce in the playoffs, and they look like they're ready to do it.
Julius Erving is no longer the focal point of this ball club, but yet he is a leader and the man they look to in the stretch, and all you have to do is Exhibit A, the 4th period against the Bullets when he took over. 103-80 with 9:20 to go. Philadelphia just playing near perfect basketball, taking the game away from the homestanding Bucks in game number 1. Brewer going up. And a foul is called.
Well, Nelson is going to give his guys that haven't seen too much playoff experience a lot of experience here in this 4th quarter. Brewer, Hodges, Davis.
Well, Randy Brewer getting a chance to get some experience in this game.
Well, out of that 3-man rotation in the center spot, Nelson was hoping to get an ability to really put the heat on Moses stamina-wise, but the game got out of hand too quickly, so it didn't work.
And Philadelphia didn't make any turnovers. Bobby Jones, 6 points, placed by Julius Erving. Jones not only has 6 points, he has 6 rebounds. There's Terry Cummings on the bench with 17, and Sidney Moncrief, who has 16. 2 big guns for the Milwaukee Bucks, but they've got a long way before this thing is over. This is just game 1, best of 7. Clint Richardson from the corner fires it in, and Richardson, who had 14 in the first half, gets his first basket in the second. He's 8 for 9 shooting in the game.
The reason that
Hodges short.
Billy Cunningham has got his, what in essence is his first unit in there, is to make sure that he can prove to the Bucks that he can beat any kind of defense that they're going to throw at him, and really put a little fear of the Lord into Don Nelson, saying, any defense you're going to throw at me, baby, we're going to beat.
8 minutes, 40 seconds to go in this final period, 105-82. Paul Thompson, he's a swing man, loses the ball. Julius going in against Greavy, and Julius Erving now with 15 points in the ball game. Philadelphia 76ers lost to the Nets last year in the first round, and that was a wound that didn't really heal at all. And the Sixers knew they had to come back. They were beaten by Boston in the regular season. Thompson going in, tipped up and in by Randy Brewer.
Oh, what a move by Thompson, though. Played with Cleveland and picked up a stress fracture in the leg.
Malone. Barkley gave up the dribble. Cheeks, Irving, and Malone. And Richardson, again, 18 points for Clint Richardson. How would you like to have that coming off the bench? He has hit his last 7 shots, 9 out of 10 from the field for Clint.
But I'll bet you 90% of those shots were from the outside.
Yes, maybe even 100. And he's diving after the loose ball is Clint Richardson.
Yeah, I guess they proved it to Don Nelson. Leaving these guys has proved a disaster in trying to help out on Moses Malone and Dr. J.
Zadale Threet, in his second year, who's got some explosive ability on offense, played it every game. Greavy from the corner missing. Barkley the rebound. Outlet to Clint Richardson. Hodges is there, but Clint Richardson gets no offensive foul called against Clint as he ran into Craig Hodges, who in this game has scored 9 points. So Hodges feel a little bit like Tommy Hearns right now.
Well, he had some good games against the Sixers during the regular season because Dr. J was guarding him a little bit, surprisingly. And Jay was backing into the painted area, and that left Hodges on the outside all alone.
He tips in his own miss. 4 for 13 now for Craig Hodges. 109-86. Or I'm looking at this game, even though it's just game 1, I think experience is going to mean a lot. Playoff experience in this series.
Well, first games, if you lose big, you might as well lose big. But for young players, sometimes that's a disaster.
Richardson fires it up with 3 seconds. He is having an uncanny day. 20 points for Clint. 8 straight.
Save the tape of this one, Mom.
They're going to kid him after the game and say, why don't you save some of these for a close ball game? Greavy to Engler come in. Chris Engler out of Wyoming. He replaced Kenny Fields from UCLA, who went on the injured list. I don't know if Engler thought he was going to play in this game. He was in early in the first half. Clement Johnson hits a short jumper. 113-88, and we still have more than half of the 4th period remaining. The crowd has remained here. We haven't heard much from them, but they have remained here. They're great fans. Davis. This is a 3-pointer. Clement Johnson. Greavy inside of Davis, who gets 2 inside. Well, the Milwaukee Bucks made their big run with 3 minutes to go in the first half when they cut a 13-point lead to 7. And then the Sixers went to town, outscored Milwaukee 9-1, and that's all she wrote, it turned out.
Well, it was the inside game and the real power rebounding of the Sixers that spelled the defeat early for the Bucks.
Hodges all the way. Craig Hodges. He was the 3rd leading scorer for the Bucks in the regular season against Philadelphia. You pointed out the good regular season. Trap defense for the Bucks. Richardson could score from the bus the way he's playing. 6 on the shot clock. Thompson out to meet Barkley. 3. And Richardson fires it up at the buzzer, and it uses the glass. Look at the Philadelphia bench.
To make Bobby Jones laugh, it has to be unusual, too.
Clint Richardson leading the way. Barkley blocks Clement Johnson. Engler against the doctor. See you later. Well, and Barkley on the follow-up is fouled as he gets the basket. And Philadelphia 76ers are having an April picnic in Milwaukee today.
I trained the best gymnast.
Shoots the and has he? 72% of the playoffs so far this year. He hit his first 2 shots that they missed and has hit 9 in a row. 22 for Clint Richardson, who can do no wrong. He's a terrific guy.
Well, you've got to say he's very, very happy, but what I like about Clint Richardson, he has the ability to come off the bench and give you what you need to have at the time he enters into the game. He'll play the defense for you, strong defense, some rebounds, and when you need some scoring or outside shooting, he delivers there too.
2-point game in Houston. Utah is making a big rally here in the fourth period, trailing the Rockets by 2. We'll keep you apprised of that game. Turnover, Sedale 3. 4:40 remaining. Philadelphia bench has gone beyond Clint Richardson too. This Barkley, for example, whose foul has 18 points and 8 rebounds, and he'll have a chance for 20. It isn't often you have 2 players with 20 coming off the bench, and that's what the Sixers have an opportunity to do.
Well, I got to tell you, on that last play, Chris Engler is the only guy that seemed to be able to outmuscle Charles Barkley, knocked him to the floor, and Craig Hodges gave Engler a high five about it.
In the Houston-Utah game, Utah has cut the lead to 2. Akeem Olajuwon and Adrian Dantley are the leading scorers in that ball game. The winner will go on to meet survivor of San Antonio and Denver, which will be played later tonight. The Lakers have a 1-0 lead over Portland in their best-of-7 conference semifinal. Forget the Celtics and the Pistons follow our game. 4:25 to go. And there's Paul Thompson shooting from outside. Thompson. So 3, and now Leon Wood in the ball game. He was the second of 3 first-round draft picks for the Sixers. Clement Johnson looking for Barkley inside. 3. Here's Sedale. And a good feed inside. Clement Johnson, but a good block by Thompson. Nice defensive play.
Nelson is in love with Thompson, Paul Thompson, saying that that was a real steal. We got him with the stress fracture. Cleveland not so sure he'd ever be able to play again, perhaps, but boy, does he have skills. What a leader.
Barkley goes out with 19, and Sam Williams, playing his first full year, acquired from Golden State last season. Number 33 is in the game. George Johnson. Inside. Clement Johnson, traveling called against Philadelphia.
Well, he looks like he's getting his timing together right now, Clem Johnson.
Here's Brewer back in the ball game. Way back a long time ago, the Milwaukee Bucks with Lister challenging Moses Malone. Lister got into early foul trouble, and McPesky got into foul trouble, and Brewer was ineffective. And so they haven't been able to handle Moses Malone, and that set the tone. 3:27 remaining. Leon Wood. Going to call traveling on Randy Brewer.
Randy, careful with those feet up. Without dropping the ball on the floor once or twice.
Game 2 of this series will be Tuesday night at the arena here. Traveling against Sedale 3. Well, I'm sure that Billy Cunningham would like to bronze this effort by the Philadelphia 76ers. I know there'll be several times upcoming, Thomas, when he's going to want to see an effort like this. They're shooting 56% from the game, and that only begins to tell all the good things they've done here.
But they dominated and played the game the way they wanted to play the game. And that was the challenge to the Milwaukee defense, to try and take away Moses Malone's inside game with all kinds of confusing double-teaming defenses and using multiple players against them. And Moses still responded.
Reavy from the corner. You know, everyone seems to think that it's a foregone conclusion that the Lakers and the Celtics are going to meet in the championship. And, of course, they could. They've been the strongest teams, but let's not discount this Philadelphia 76ers club as Houston clings to the lead over Utah.
They had some serious injuries themselves this year. Clem Johnson was an integral part. They hung on there. Tony got hurt, sprained an ankle for a while, wasn't 100%. Cheeks has been nursing things, so their record could have been a lot better, these Sixers.
Yep, you got to have it at the end when the playoffs come. Thompson is fouled, he gets the basket, and as you saw, we're going to be rejoining the Utah-Houston conclusion, but we'll be back here in a moment. No contest early. Light beer from Miller is proud to present a check for $1,000 to the National Multiple Sclerosis Foundation on behalf of Moses Malone. And I think after banging around with Jeff Rulin for 4 games, I think Moses Malone knew that this was going to be an easier battle, at least off the top, than he experienced in the last series.
Well, that was like a softening up process. You know, when you play hard, it's like training with weights on. You know, running like some people do with weights on, and all of a sudden then running a race without the weights, you feel like you're flying. That's exactly what happened here today to Moses Malone after playing against Jeff Ruler.
About 4 minutes left in the Utah-Houston game, and you will see the end of that one, which will decide who will move along in the semifinals in the West. Sadale Creek missing. Milwaukee has it. Winding down to 2 minutes to go in the ball game. Kevin Greavy, 2 points for Kevin Greavy. Cummings with 17, the high score for Milwaukee. Moncrief right behind with 16. There's a foul. The basket going to count. Leon Wood driving to the hoop. The basket will count. There's a guy they like very much, a terrific outside shooter and definitely a guard of the future in the NBA.
They said he is, Jack McMahon told me, he'd probably be starting with any other team in the country in the NBA, mainly because he's a good all-around player and fine outside shooter to boot.
Thompson. And Davis goes up. Moses Malone, the high scorer in the ballgame. Clint Richardson at 22. Barkley, 19. Julius Erving at 50. 18 for Maurice Cheeks. His shoulder, not a factor. Milwaukee ball. And a chance for Julius Erving to rest. He said he's going to play next year. And I think he's still fitting comfortably with his new role at his age.
Well, taking an awful lot of responsibility off his shoulders, and Billy Cunningham seems perfectly willing to live with the situation of Doc being not 24 years of age anymore.
20-point lead. It was 25, and Philadelphia just playing this game out, and many of the crowd here at the Milwaukee Arena have made their way to the exits. That's the time remaining. This is just game one, best of 7. What it does is take away the home court advantage from the Milwaukee Bucks. Offensive foul against Thompson. And the Bucks, by the way, got that home court edge by virtue of the last day of the season by 1 game over Philadelphia. Under a minute now remaining. Lemon Johnson. Houston Rockets, who came back and won a big 4th game in Utah at the Salt Palace the other night, now trailed Utah 91-89 in the waning moments of that ball game.
Adrian Jantley, I'd love to be seeing him in his playoff bid.
Well, you will in just a moment. 38 seconds to go. Bobby Jones has a lot to smile about. So much of what he does is not evident in the box score. Boston and Detroit, game 1.
Lem Johnson can't believe it. Right here, you're going to call a jump ball. He thought he got fouled.
Boston, Detroit will follow the end of the Utah-Houston battle as Regan goes to the hoop. Wood coming back, beating Sadale Creek. Moses Malone. Let's wrap it up fast. Took out bullets in 4. Thompson goes in. 127-105. Final seconds will tick off in what has been a no contest game today, because the Philadelphia 76ers started from the opening tip-off and won the game 127-105. For Tom Heinsohn, Dick Stockton saying so long. And we are going to send you to the summit in Houston for the conclusion of the Utah-Houston battle. So right now, let's send you